Vanessa Bremwitz here. I hope you're having a fabulous, is it Thursday? Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just have a quick story to share with you. And the reason I'm bringing up this story is because a lot of people talk to me about, hey, Anna, it's easy for you to say these things. You're here and you're getting the contracts you want. You're doing the work that you want to do. Who am I? Or I'm stuck in this job, or I'm stuck in this status quo. And I just wanted to share this story with you today because I think that it might help some of you if you learn a little bit of my journey of how I got here. So first off, if this is something you want to, one of the things that I do is I'm a proponent of doing work that you're proud of, doing work that creatively inspires you, that when you launch, you're excited, you can't wait to see what people are going to say and the feedback you're going to get. And if that's something you want to explore more deeply and see how it can actually affect the way you do your work, then go to elearningsecrets.com. I have a training coming up and you can register for it. So, and if somebody could put that in the comments, type it in, that would be absolutely wonderful, because then people could just click on it. So elearningsecrets.com. So, my second instructional design job was actually at a very innovative institution, and we had a lot of the best tech. We had some of the best, even at that point, this was years ago, we had all these simulated environments for people it was a technical college, right? So it was pretty progressive. It was actually probably ahead of a lot of places even today. And I was still super green, and not green in the way that I didn't know my stuff, which I did. I was working really hard to actually keep up and actually be on top of keep up with all the technology so that I could keep the instruction on top of the best, leverage the best technology with the instructional design that I was learning and applying. And one of the things that was the reason I moved even to this other job, and I found it, was because the last place that I had been working at was just not progressive enough. It's one of those places where they hire people on paper, it looks good, and then you get there and you realize there's a ton of basically dogma and old school thinking happening. And so it kind of really wrecked me because I would suggest ideas and they would basically be laughed at. Like, one of the questions I got when I suggested something that was a little too progressive was if I was smoking weed. That's really that's the kind of stuff that came up, where if you had good ideas, that's the response you got. And so I was that's the place where I just want to get out of, because that's just not me. I wanted to push the envelope. I wanted to do great work, and that wasn't the place. So when I got into the technical college, I was so excited because the support was there, the tech was there, these people were willing to invest in all those resources for us. And that's where I really dug in. I started reading books. I started really applying things. But it's funny because even in a place like that, it can take one single person in the wrong position to really stifle progress. And I don't know if you can resonate with this, but sometimes it's like you're trying to do your best and you really want to push yourself, and you see all these other things out there, and then you hit a wall, and that wall is sometimes it's status quo, so it's kind of like a collective idea, but sometimes it's one person. And if that one person is almost like the gatekeeper, and I don't know if you can resonate with this. If you've ever experienced this gatekeeper to progress, give me a heck yeah, gatekeeper to progress in the comments, because it is a huge, huge detriment as far as I'm concerned, having the wrong person in that position of power and leadership. So, oh yeah. And once I'm going to tell you, if this is something that you're struggling with and you're looking for kind of the next level, elearningsecrets.com, sign up there. You'll enjoy it. So here I am rocking it. And one of the things that, like we were a team of a bunch of people, and then we had this senior instructional designer. And one of the things that we do is like we'd come into these weekly meetings and just see what is possible, look at examples. And I got this book. This book was like, at that point, I got this one. It was still a mail-in CD-ROM offer. I don't know if anybody remembers CD-ROMs, but this one had the mail-in. This is my book. And there's a reason why I keep this one, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason I keep this book is not because the info in it already, like that's definitely good and I'm keeping it, right? And I've been applying it. But I remember looking at this book and being absolutely inspired by the things that Michael Allen was doing. But at that point, me as a single human being in this technical college, even then, for us to create anything remotely close to what he was doing and what his team was doing was like, you know, many people had to be involved to make that happen. And I remember coming out of a meeting and my leader picking up this book. That's what she said to me. She says, "This is great stuff, Anna, but that's not the kind of stuff we do around here." And I just went, right? Just like it was a lie. We were kind of like, you know, pumping it up over here for the team. And then in private, it was like, get back to your desk and do what we're doing. Okay, don't push any buttons, don't push any envelopes, because basically she's afraid of the technology or not knowing. Fear of the unknown. So at that point, that's why I said some instructional designers and some of my team went, okay, all right, that's how we do things. I don't blame them. They're trying to do their job. But we're not most people, right? So one of the things that happened at the same time is we had the opportunity to get Articulate Presenter. And for me, at that point, all of a sudden, I was like, whoa, Articulate Presenter, maybe I could get like one step closer to having the kind of power to create the kind of things that are happening that Michael Allen's talking about in this book. Do I actually have that? And so what I did is I asked to have my own license. And on top of the work that I was doing, I went home on evenings and weekends and worked on my own project. And there was lots of reasons why I did that. It was because I wanted to learn the software so I could talk to the team better. I wanted to see the power that it had so that I could start creating things that I really wanted to do. And I know that, you know, we're thinking now, we're like, oh man, we got so much tech. But back then, I felt like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. And it's kind of closer to this, right? And one of the things that I wanted to share with you today, just really for you to have a takeaway, is that you can find ways. Like, I hear this from people. They'll tell me, they're like, my company won't invest in the software, or my company won't invest this. Sometimes you can do a lot of these things by yourself. The free trials, the things that are happening now, you can do that. And if you want to, you will find the time. It will be your baby. So embrace it. And the one other thing that was really cool that happened is because even if you have this person leading you, there will be, as my other leader that I learned from one of my mentors is she said, Sean, you're one of my, if you're watching this, thank you. She said, and this came up because we were like, sometimes when you're in that training department, you're trying to affect change, and the things that are happening is you're constantly pushing up against resistance, right? You're trying to do a good job, all those things. And one of the things that one of my leaders and mentors taught me is that you have a circle of competence. You really do. A circle of influence. And she said, if you operate within that circle of influence and recognize that it is there, don't give up. Just recognize that that circle of influence exists. Work within it to create change. And yes, it's small sometimes. It's very, very small. But you have it. So where can you find areas to exercise that influence? And I thought about that when I was in that position, because I could have given up. I could have said, this person is not, this is my boss, and this is what they believe, and this is my job. But I thought back to what Sean had told me, and she said, this is your circle of influence. What can you do within it to grow? And I did that. And you know what I did? as a part of that, I won Innovation of the Year award in a project that I was the instructional designer on. That, and not everybody gets to have that, right? But that proved to me that even within your little scope, you can have huge impact, even without somebody's permission for you to be great, for you to innovate, for you to try things that are out of the norm, outside of what we do here around here. Find out what that is for you, because then you can start making little wins and putting them in your, as they say, in your cookie jar, so you can look at it later and be like, yeah, I can. Damn rights. That's me. I did that within your little sphere. You don't need to be up here. That comes later. Just here. What can you do? What can you own? Can you own that space? That's what I did, and that's what really, when I look at this book and just the inspiration that I had, and just I thought, hey, what can I do? What are some baby steps to help me build up that confidence to get me there? And now I get to set the terms. I get to say what I want to work on and how it's going to be done. But that didn't come I didn't just one day wake up and be like, hey, I got this, sweet setup, and I'm now working for myself and deciding who I'm going to work with. That took some serious self building, So I hope that what it does for you is that you're able to say, hey, if Anna can do it, this little Polish kid, immigrant kid from Poland, I can do it. I have a sphere of influence. I'm going to work within it and see what I can accomplish. You can accomplish great things. So I hope that inspires you. And if you want to learn more, elearningsecrets.com, check it out. Come see me. We'll hang out. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of the day. Do come see me tomorrow around the same time. I'm going to be running another live, and this one's going to be focused on storytelling and the elements of storytelling, as I promised. Today I wanted to kind of share this message because I got some messages and questions, and I think this would be I needed to pump you up a little bit so that you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. All right? So have a fabulous rest of the day, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Ciao!